is where your breath is supposed to be. Where we normally breathe is right here, in our chest. Like, breathe. Inhale right now. Okay, that's not how you want to inhale when you sing.
Yeah, you can tell it.
Because you're going through your nose. These two little holes are much smaller than this giant hole in your face. Okay? This is where you want to breathe. And yes, sometimes the mic will pick it up. But even if you listen, like if you listen to singers like Whitney before her voice got messed up by the drugs, you can hear her breathe. And you might think that's tacky or whatever, but she needs that breath to sustain that note that she's singing. Okay? So we want to breathe through our mouth. So first I want you to breathe as deeply as you can through your nose right now. As deep as you can. Okay. So it's not actually very deep. Now I want you to release that breath. Just release it. Just let it go. I want you to breathe as deeply as you can through your mouth. What do you think is more effective? Yeah, definitely your mouth. And now I'm going to show you a way to get even more effective with your mouth. I want you to place your tongue right behind your teeth and breathe again. I don't know why it works, but it works better. I don't know why. That's that tip on that video that I was telling you about when I was in high school. That was on the video, and I was like, what? And then I went home and practiced like crazy. It was that tip right there with breath control. Now, breath control isn't just about getting a full breath in. It's about controlling your breath when it comes out. That's what it's really about. Because we want to get a full breath. We want that. But we want to be able to control the level at which it comes out. So it's about inhaling as much as you can, as quickly as you can, which is why that tongue thing, amazing, because it gets the air in fast. But you want to release the air as slowly as you can. So what I'm going to challenge you to do right now is just put your finger about this far from your mouth. We're going to all inhale at the same time. And I'm going to fail because I have to tell you to exhale, but it's okay. We're all going to inhale. Are you ready? Now exhale as slowly as you can. Where you can still feel the air. Take your finger down when you can't feel it anymore. I told you I was going to feel it, so I was talking. Yawning is also really common, thank you for yawning, when you're working on breath control. Because your body gets confused. It's not used to the amount of air that you're intaking and then the way that you're outputting it, so you're not taking in as much air as you're used to at the same level that you're used to. So if you start yawning during the middle, don't feel ashamed. It's going to happen. Because yawning happens when your breathing is shallow and you're relaxed. Well, your breathing is going to be shallow right now because you're releasing it slowly, which means you're not taking in the air that you normally would be when you normally would be. So, expect yawning.
Okay.
It's okay. And then the more that you work on these exercises, the better off it will be. And again, you want to fill your lungs, not just the top of your lungs, you want to fill to the bottom of your lungs. So right here, that's where your diaphragm is right here. And that's what's pushing the air out of your lungs. So you want to be singing, so that's what it means when you want to sing from right here. It's all about breath. Because you want to breathe to right there, you want to push up from and out from right there. So when you're breathing, you want your hands to go out and back in from right here. And there are some exercises that can help you focus on using your diaphragm as well, and we'll go over those at the end. But again, it's all about the breathing. So the best way for me to have you practice breathing is to sing a song that we all know, Amazing Grace. But we're going to sing it, and I just want you, don't try to do anything that you wouldn't normally do when you're singing the song. Breathe where you would normally breathe. I have a feeling it's all going to be in the same spot that I think it's going to be in, and that's fine, because we'll talk about it. Okay. I have no idea what key to start in, so I'm just going to sing. So right now I want you to all take a complete breath. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. And then you read there. Okay. So that's, you want to take it to the end of the phrase, but that meant that you had to take that breath in between Like after that phrase, you had to take that breath or you were not going to make it to the end of that other phrase. So that's what breath control is. And singers are always thinking about this. Thinking ahead. What am I going to sing next? Where am I going to breathe? When is this going to happen for me? And like I said, eventually it becomes more natural. And when you're singing contemporary music, it's not as important as when you're singing choral music. But you don't want to breathe in the middle of the phrase. It's okay. It happens to all of us, but that's what part of what breath control is. There's more to it than just that, but that's where I want you guys to start. So one exercise that I want you guys to do right now is to focus on your diaphragm and how it's supposed to cut off the air, because you do not want to use your throat to cut air off. That's what happens when you hear like singers sing high and then they squeak at the end of a phrase. It's because they're using their throat to shut off the sound, and you don't want that. You do not want. That's the most horrible thing. Like, it's a pet peeve for me, but it just doesn't sound pretty. So don't do it. And you're gonna feel weird doing this exercise, but your hand needs to be here. I need to show it to you first. It's like ne every single time. I'm bouncing my diaphragm when I do this. It's not from here. It's from right here. So I want you guys to try it with me. We're going to do that, and normally what you would do, because it is a warm-up, you would gradually work up the scale as well. So this is the cutting off part of breath control, the diaphragm part of breath control. This is not the sustaining a note. I'll teach you that one next. But we're going to keep going with this higher and higher, because breath control does not stop when we get to our upper register. It's very tempting, but that's actually when we need it the most. Because if we don't support it, that's when we get sharp, that's when we get flat, we're not going to be on the note. You need the breath. You need it. So we're going to work up the scale. Okay, here we go. It's out of our range, but I know for a couple of us it's in our range. So we want to be focusing on that breath, breathing that breath, because it shouldn't be a squeak if it's in your range. So then the other exercise is for note, sustaining a note, but also for vowel sounds. And we'll talk about the way you hold your mouth next time. But for this exercise, it's actually going to work all of those things, because we're going to hold one note for a very long time, but with okay, so this exercise is actually really easy because it's one note. Mi, me, ma, mo, mu. So we're just running through all of the vowel sounds, and we're going to start at that same note that I did. Hopefully I don't have perfect pitch, so we'll see. We start at the same note. Mi, me, ma, mo, mu. Mi, me, ma, mo, mu. Mi, me, ma, mo, mu. to keep the breath lasting longer.
Yeah.
That's because higher notes take more breathing. So that's it's okay. That's when you really want to. That's when you really want to use your breath, especially for sopranos, because those tend to be the notes that they want you to hold a really long time in choral music. Just FYI. So again, if you want to make that exercise in particular more challenging, you can start singing the sounds quietly, and as you change each sound, progressively get louder. That will teach your voice to crescendo, but that takes more work in sustaining and holding that breath. You can also practice being loud at the start and getting progressively quieter. I can talk most days, sorry. I do suggest also recording yourself. I know that sounds horrible to most of your ears right now, but that's the only way you can hear if you're really doing it, and if you're wavering on the note, because you know that's linked to your breathing. And the reason my hand was constantly right here, my hands are right here, is because I'm using my hands to remind myself to breathe, to hear. And there are different postures that you can take to recognize your breath, like how you're breathing, because you need to get familiar with your body and breathing in the first place. What does it feel like when I'm breathing the right way? One of the best ways you can feel your breathing is actually laying on the ground, and there's not enough room here for all of us to do it, and I'm not going to do it because that's embarrassing, but you can do it when you get home. If you lay on the ground and you put a book right here and try singing, it should be going up and down from here. If it's not, you need to kind of adjust and figure out how that feels. You want to progressively work your way to doing that same type of breathing when you're standing up, and you should be able to feel it right here. So a breath exercises like the one I just taught you, that's one. Another thing that breathing will do will allow you to sustain a note for a long period of time. And then if you have really good breath control, you can crescendo, which just means getting gradually louder, or decrescendo, which means getting gradually softer.